Okay, so now there's a lot of questions about what's next for Derek Chauvin. So to answer some of these questions, please welcome Trent Copeland. Hey, Trent. He's a trial lawyer in both civil rights and criminal defense. Hey, we're so lucky to have you here today because a lot of us, you know, we have a lot of unanswered questions. So we all saw Derek Chauvin being led out of the courthouse yesterday, to Tori's point, in handcuffs. Where is he right now? And do we have any idea what was written on his hand?
We don't know what was written on his hand, Sam, but we do know where he is. He's at the Minnesota Correctional Facility. It's just a few miles from that courthouse. He'll be there. He's going to stay there until his sentencing, which is in 2 months. And he'll be there, not in general population, because remember, he's a pretty high-value prisoner at this time. You know, he is a high, you know, everyone knows who he is. There's been a lot of awareness about this trial, and that includes those prisoners who are also housed in that correctional facility. So for his safety, they're going to keep him away, keep him out of the general population. He'll probably be in isolation. For what I understand, there's been an agreement with Minnesota, Hennepin County and the Minnesota Correctional Facility that they're going to watch him every 30 minutes to make sure that he's, again, in their custody and in their care, as we've come to know that term. And so that's where he is. That's where he's going to stay until he comes back for his sentencing. All
right. Well, first of all, appreciate you being here. Can you do me and our viewers a favor and just explain the charges that he was found guilty of? And what do you think we should expect at his sentencing? Because it seems like it's never the number that's given at the time served. And just please explain that.
Right. Okay, look, really good questions. And everyone seems to have this question following the verdict yesterday. He was convicted of 3 counts. All 3 counts that he was charged with, he was convicted of. Third-degree murder, that is known as really felony murder. That is, you're in the commission of a felony, a killing takes place, a death occurs. That's the second-degree murder charge. That carries with it that carries with it not life, but 40 years in prison. That could be virtually the rest of Derek Chauvin's life if he's found guilty of that, and he's sentenced to the maximum sentence. Don't expect that. He was also charged with third-degree murder. Third-degree murder is a lot like you know, a not felony manslaughter, not felony murder, but something in between. It's typically you did not appreciate the consequences of engaging in conduct that could significantly have led to a death. That's what the second-degree murder charge. Third charge, manslaughter. The manslaughter charge is a reasonable person under normal circumstances. A reasonable person would have understood that had you continued to engage in the conduct that you engaged in, that is kneeling on George Floyd's neck for 9 minutes and 29 seconds, would likely result in a death. He was convicted on all 3 of those charges. And here's what's unusual. What's unusual is that he was convicted on all 3 charges. Those are 3 different criminal offenses, but this all related to the same conduct. So he won't be given 40 years for the second-degree murder, and then 25 years for the third-degree murder, and then 10 years for the manslaughter. He'll be charged with all 3, but he will only be sentenced on the highest of those. That is the 40-year sentence that comes with the highest offense, second-degree murder. So I don't expect him to receive that because of what Minnesota has, which is a sentencing guideline. The sentencing guideline tells the judge, hey, look, here's the range of sentences that he could, range of the sentencing that he could receive. But we think, based on all of the number of factors, what's his criminal record? We know he doesn't have one. Was there contrition? We don't know. Doesn't appear to have said he's sorry. There appear to be mitigating circumstances as opposed to aggravating circumstances. So all of those things will be taken into account in terms of what his actual sentence will be. And to answer your question specifically, I think it's the range of somewhere closer to about 15 to 20 years as opposed to 40.
Yeah. Thank you for that, Trent. Tell us about appeal. First off, what are the grounds for an appeal? I know Maxine Waters sort of stepped into Waters, no pun intended on there. And 2, what are the chances of there being an appeal?
You know, look, I say this all the time, you know, to people who come to me. You can be sued and you can file an appeal. All those things are things that are guarantees in life. But what isn't a guarantee is that you can win that appeal.
Yeah.
Are there appellate issues here? Maybe. I know the high-level ones that we talk about often are, number 1, jury sequestration. Should the jury have been sequestered?
Right.
I would say no. The standard is abuse of discretion. The standard is whether or not this jury was affected by the pretrial publicity We have no indications that they were. Whether or not sequestration would have helped in this instance, I don't know. The Maxine Waters comment that you mentioned, look, I was a little surprised. I thought it was a bit of an overreaction by Judge Cahill, because what Maxine Waters did is not unusual for what many politicians do, particularly in high-profile cases. It was literally 8 seconds of sound where she said not violence, but she said confrontation. She said, people have got to stay in the streets. People have got to make sure that they know that we mean business with this.
Yeah.
And look, if the judge, and I think it was a legitimate concern, if the judge really believed that this was a problem and that the jury could have been affected by those 8 seconds of sound, he could have taken the step that most judges would have taken, and that is to poll the jury. He could have brought them in either individually or collectively and said, A, did you hear Maxine Waters? And B, did it affect you? He didn't do either of those things. So the fact that he didn't do those things suggests to me that this was really a little more than him venting.
Thank you, Trent Copeland. Thank you so much for clarifying and all your answers. We appreciate you. And we hope that we can talk to you soon, because I'm sure that we're going to hear more from regarding those 3 other officers. So that's a whole nother conversation, the other officers.